All right. Welcome to the Crystal Show. I have with me my guest, Naomi Wright. All right, Naomi, if you will, please give me your personal background.
I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I have two older sisters, and my mother. I grew up in with my mother and father in the same home. My father and mother were missionaries. They had a Native American Christian mission. We traveled around the United States and worked with Native Americans to bring them closer to Christ. And a lot of Native Americans are biased to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my parents' objective was to bring them closer to God. And my father also had actually had three other jobs. He did Army, the Army Reserve, and then he also worked at the VA hospital in Seattle, Washington, and he had a job also delivering papers. And my
Mm-hmm.
mother, she did nurse's aid work.
All right, cool. So, if you will, I know I didn't ask you this when we did the pre-interview, but if you could give me your culture, like your heritage, like what would you consider yourself? Like if you were filling out an application, what would you put down?
I guess white, Caucasian, and
Mm-hmm.
Native American.
Oh, okay, cool. So with that being said, um, so we went over siblings, and you said you were out with your dad. You all did missionary work as a family, and I know that earlier we were talking about the powwow that you all did. So if you could give us further information on the powwow.
The powwows are a cultural thing that the Native Americans do. They dress up in very fancy headdresses. Like say in Africa, they do a lot of dances, and they dress up
Mm-hmm.
in their fancy like costumes. I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm. Like the uniform
Right, right.
per se, according to the culture.
And then they would cook their food. A big thing with the Native Americans is fried bread. Really
Oh,
good.
okay. What that tastes like?
It's you make it from scratch, and you let the bread raise, and
Mm.
then you take say like you use lard or like Crisco cooking oil, and you like buttered flavor, and then you would cook it, fry it. Very delicious, and you can make tacos, or you put jelly, or just butter on it. Either way, it's good.
Oh, okay, cool. Sounds wonderful. Okay, so if you will, please give me your history, like your I guess as far as you can go back. Can you go as far as your great great grandparents or no? Uh, Tell me about your family.
I never knew my great grandparents, but my father's father was German and Polish,
Mm-hmm.
and he was adopted, so he never really knew his parents.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother, she was Irish,
Oh, okay.
and very different, background.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother's mother, she was Native American, and
Okay.
she was also adopted out, so she never talked, too much about
Mm-hmm.
her parents.
Interesting. Okay, so as far as where you lived, growing up as a child and going through adolescence, how would you describe Seattle? I believe you were telling me that you're from Seattle, but then eventually you had to locate to Chicago. So tell me a little bit about Seattle.
Seattle's very, very diverse.